Wow, look at that peanut patch. That sure did come out good this year. So what we're looking at here is my circular driveway with the median, a peanut patch, which it is actually a berm, what you would call a hill. And it's a high point, it's a berm that is my circular driveway, which is bounded on this side by the back side of the swale, essentially a ditch that I am using to create this habitat and my food production, as well as my circular driveway. So the berm is essentially a hill here that protects my home from a flood of stormwater, and the swale that is actually being used to pull that stormwater into this ditch, if you will, the swale. So berm and swale. Oh, that's almost like a dance step. So the purpose of this is to take stormwater events, get that rainwater to come into the ditch, into the swale, so that it nourishes the habitat and prevents the communication, the transportation, if you will, of the contaminants on this road from tires and insecticides and anything else going to be floating in the air that drops on the ground, oil spills from cars, and communicates that, transports that down to the bay. I call this responsible landscaping, being responsible to the watershed. This particular swale has created a very nice wildlife habitat here. Lots of wildlife is coming through here. The birds, I've got box turtles. It's just looking quite beautiful. So I'm at the top of a hill here. I actually call it Luna Hill in reference to the Tristan da Luna 1559 settlement and expedition. So I'm at the top of the hill, and I'm trying to capture whatever water I can to get it to percolate. Once that water gets down there in the sand, now it percolates and cleans its way to the bay. I'm using this on the Gonzales side as well as on the Knowles side. But let's just take a look-see at what can be done to expand the surface area of the road that's being brought into swale. So this is in the easement. This is a part of a common good easement. Common good being a behavior, a practice that is benefiting all of us in common. This helps to clean the water that our fish need to survive and feed us, and clean the water that our children and ourselves use for leisure. So this is a practice of responsible landscaping for being responsible to the watershed and to the common good of our community. Where can this be extended? If you take a look just on the opposite side of the road, there is so much opportunity. Just take, for example, 3 feet on each side of this property line, build a swale, put the native habitat in there, and then you can do this on the other side, and it makes a nice definition of parking spaces while it's functioning to help clean the water to the bay. Here's an example of where my neighbor and I have created one such swale. I call them an end cap because it's just so easy to take 3 feet on each side. You get this swale and you can create all of this edge and habitat and shade and water cleaning. Neither one of our properties allows any water off the property. From the roofs to the drains, even this driveway on her side here, it's sloped in and the water is handled here in that swale. Comes right off her driveway, right into that swale. Same intentions over here of what I'm doing. A lot can be done with this level of responsible landscaping. I do this also on the knoll side, and it draws a really stark contrast in the effectiveness of handling the stormwater. Here's another area that I've got to do a little work on. Yeah, they can get a little overgrown and they change from your original intentions. This is another one of those end caps. It is a swale, it takes in water, but I've got to work on the garden bed a little bit. And so this slope here from the top of the hill, top of Luna Hill, there are several turnouts along the way. They pull water in. And again, remember, a swale is essentially a ditch, if you will, a hole, a depression. And a berm prevents water from flowing. You'll see several turnouts here that feed the swale that you can't quite see anymore, but it's helping to nourish these peach trees and these other edge plants. There's a turnout, that's a swale. We planted a sand live oak for the canopy restoration project. And then my final swale down here at the what I call the Richard Jernigan Greenway. Again, the road bed is actually the berm, and this area here is the swale, and the turnout here that is collecting as much water as I can, and I've never seen it not go by, from all of this downslope water that comes from here. So there's the slope, there's the swale, here's the berm, and we can contrast that very starkly with this property over here, the East Pensacola Heights Baptist Church. All of their impermeable surfaces are collecting the water into large quantities, and this drive transports that contaminated water down slope where it usually pools right there, makes big unsafe flooding at that low point right there. Whereas this solution here takes it all in from the backs of our properties and even the roadway. This solution over here, it takes all that rainwater and makes the problem worse down slope. It's why I call this Luna Hill Forest Garden and its effects of rain gardening. Some people do rain gardens at the bottom of their downspouts. This is an entire property that is a rain garden to mitigate the effects of stormwater and the consequences of communicating it to the bay, which is contamination for our fish and for children. The other solution here, as you see, is not responsible. This is not responsible to the watershed, and it is not responsible to our children, to their food and to their leisure water. So when I say responsible landscaping, we're talking about being responsible to the watershed and to the values of keeping our children safe.